Welcome to this session. I'd like to introduce you to a wonderful book, The Self-Aware Universe by Dr. Amit Goswami, PhD, with Richard E. Reed and Maggie Goswami. Dr. Goswami is a physicist who is attempting to do, well, maybe it's not impossible. He is attempting to create a model for what a human being really is in a way that is consistent with the results that are now being published on a weekly basis about quantum mechanics. It's becoming more and more clear that these results are simply not consistent with the usual model that I have always used, that I'm made out of things, that I exist in space, that I move in time, and that this provides a complete description of me. Now, that is a model. I don't really know what me is, neither does anyone else. And to say that I can do better is not to reject this model that obviously works within its limits. But I am fascinated by the very careful, beautiful reasoning he's doing. And I'm finding it powerful, producing results that I could not produce otherwise. Let me explain. In a recent session, in a recent, one of our lectures, I spoke of having worked successfully with a tapeworm. I was wrong. Yes, I had attacked a tapeworm. And what happened was pretty nasty. I didn't kill it. All I did would really upset it. It broke into segments. I found myself faced with many tapeworms. Dr. Clark warns about that in her book. Well, she was right. I was in trouble. My body got very insistent that it needed help, and that I could not do the helping I was doing the same way I have always done it. Something different was needed, a different point of view. Well, I always thought I was made out of things, so that when I went to create frequencies, I just looked at a particular organism and said, okay, what are all of the frequencies for it? If the organism is Pseudomonas fluorescens, what are the frequencies? Okay, there are 4 or 5 of them. If the organism is Acanthocephala, what are the frequencies there? But suppose, as Dr. Goswami suggests, I am in a more fundamental way constructed out of emotions. Then I need to be more careful about which frequencies I'm using. So I began to look at the spherot tones. Turns out they are directly connected with these emotional structures that the Eastern religions have always called chakras. One spherot tone is always connected with that particular chakra. And it's fascinating because my books on energy healing place the chakras in very specific places. The Meng Main, for example, is in the middle of the back. Now, when I do energy healing on someone, I almost always have to do something with the Meng Main. It just collects everything. I almost never do it in the middle of the back. I do it wherever it shows up, sometimes coming out of the left ear or under the right armpit. It's wherever it is. Well, where is it? Perhaps the word where doesn't apply. Perhaps it's a quantum mechanical thing that is best left undescribed in this context and simply worked with. How are you reacting to this? I'll bet you're saying, well, then it's not real. I catch you? I got a question for you. Is an electron real? Well, nobody has ever seen one. I don't believe you ever will either. Yet, something is making this camera operate, and something is making your computer run. It's the energy being carried by a bunch of electrons, and I think even you will admit that. If electrons were not real, how could your computer be running? Yet, if I ask you to point to a single electron, see what I'm saying? They are real. Well, suppose I am real, and suppose partly I am also of this kind of structure that doesn't exist in space, which is reasonable. I mean, I have hopes and fears and loves. They don't exist in space, but they sure do exist. They make my life worthwhile. So what we're doing now in the most recent sessions, we start by choosing one or two of the chakras. That's it, no more. Let's say one chakra right now. This is kind of a cluster, a structure for a group of emotions. And I'm going to say that's the fundamental. Now, the next thing to do is to see which of the organisms work with that chakra. Choose 2 or 3, whichever number we decide are important. And of those 2 or 3, use only the frequencies that apply to that chakra. Because particular organisms might work with 3 or 4 different ones. And if we're only working with that one, that's the key. Okay? Then we'll do it with another chakra, perhaps. Humans have limits. 2 that's it for a session. And if there are toxins, we'll use all of those frequencies. I honestly don't think toxins are ancient enough to tie in with human emotions. They are just things. So that's a session. So why am I so excited? Because my body now says that I literally killed completely, without any exception, 3 tapeworms in the last session. That's the first thing. Second thing, I am finding that I have far more time to react on the tennis court. So that now things that previously were impossible, I am finding to be relatively simple. I simply do the right thing. I have plenty of time to take care of it. Where did all of that perceived time come from? Well, my body has, I should say, created it for me. And I don't think it totally agrees, but it's not willing to argue the point. I'm very grateful in any case. I think these are actually quantum mechanical actions, and I think our health depends on them. Folks, this is big. We're on to something real big here, and it is fun. Talk to you again. Bye now.